friends, and welcome to Life in Envelopes. I am Jennifer Bleecher. This channel is all about planning, budgeting, paying off debt, and my very exciting journey from full-time teacher to full-time Etsy shop owner and YouTuber. So if that is something that you think you would like to see, then please subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you along on this journey. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing my week 3 check-in for our family budget for the month of May. Last week I didn't have time to film week 2, so I'll also be sharing those numbers with you as well. Today I will be using the Budget by Paycheck workbook by the Budget Mom, and I will be using a notebook from Plum Paper. If you have never made a purchase with Plum Paper, then I can send you a unique discount code that will give you 10% off your first order. All you need to do is email me at jbleecher@gmail.com and I will get that discount code over to you. Okay, let's jump right in. Before we look at the expenses for this week, let's quickly look at last week. Just looking at the length, you could see it's quite long. We had several miscellaneous expenses, which are the yellows, and several food, which are blue. So let's just go here, give you the final numbers. So these are my variable expenses. So in week 2, food, we spent $385, and that's because one of our weekly grocery, two of our weekly grocery shopping trips happened on the same week for some reason. So you'll notice this week there is quite a bit less spent on food because of that. But even if 2 weeks together would have been $300, so we still would be above our budget. So that was above budget by $235, bringing our monthly total up to negative $248 for food. And the other category where we were negative was unbudgeted. We budget $25 a week for that. Last week we ended up spending $277 for unbudgeted expenses, and I'll share those with you in just a second, bringing our weekly total to negative $252 and our monthly total to negative $367. Last week we were at negative $115 because we purchased that bike for Logan. So let me show you what I purchased this week that brought us to such a high number. So I purchased some clothes on 2 separate occasions, which one was for $64, one was $143, so that's almost that's $206 right there. We had a miscellaneous expense for $7. Ooh, I can't remember what that one is, but that's $7. And then I purchased some books for Logan for some summer reading this summer for $63. I don't feel so bad about the clothes because the clothes, it wasn't like a purchase, like a frivolous purchase. It was a needed purchase. And we have a cash envelope for clothes, but we just started it. So this just tells me I need to continue that cash envelope and maybe even increase that so that we don't have to pay out of our family budget for those that come out of our cash envelopes. The books I'm feeling really bad about because after I purchased the books for him, I realized I could have just taken him to the library. Really, and saved $63. So I think that's going to be our last trip to the bookstore for quite a while. Okay, then let's go to this week. This week was much better, as you'll see, and we have what are these? Oh, this is a new expense category, which I will explain to you. I didn't have a color for it, but the way I do it is I lay down all of our expenses and then I make a key with each category that's listed and then how much was spent in each category. So let's look at each thing I purchased this week. We'll lay it down together here. I'm going to be using these stickers from my friend Cara Jo Plans. She has an Etsy shop. I'll put a link to her Etsy shop in the description box below. I also have a discount code for you guys that is listed with her link to her shop. All the other stickers you see, those are from my shop, Life in Envelopes. I also have a link to that in the description box below, as well as a discount code for you guys. Okay, so let's start with bills. We spent $15 on Netflix. I do round up. Sometimes people ask about that. I do round up. Let's look at debt. We made a big, huge debt payment this week, which was very exciting. And we paid $3,396. That was for loan number 2. Now, as many of you know, I'm switching from full-time teaching to full-time running my own small business, and we contacted this company and asked if we could make one big payment right now and then not have any payments for 6 months. I understand that that's just, I'm not like paying off my debt more quickly that way, but at least we don't have to worry about making a payment for 6 months, which is very exciting for me. That's 6 months where I have less money that I need to bring in, because the payment was it $565, something like that? Let's see, how much was it? Let's see, for loan number 2, $566. So that's $566 I don't have to make for the next 6 months. If I do happen to make it, I'll set it aside and we can make that payment at that time. But one cool thing they explained to me is that because we made a big payment, even though interest is going to continue to accrue, it's going to be on a smaller loan balance. So I thought that was really interesting. So our interest is actually going to be less because we did that. Okay, food. So I had my normal Subway this week. My other teachers at the school and we get Subway once a week, and it costs $6. Logan and I, for Fun Friday last Friday, or the Friday, it would have been Friday the 14th, but it didn't come out until the 17th. Logan and I tried a new restaurant for Fun Friday called Culliver's, and it was very expensive. We usually spend about $10 on Fun Friday. We usually go to the same place, but we thought we'd try something different. Big regret. I like our normal routine better. Culliver's, it just wasn't my favorite place. So I'm okay with not going there again. And $27 is quite a bit of money for us. Okay, and then Sam's. We did have our weekly visit to Sam's for food, and we spent $60 there. And then my oldest son, Jacob, is graduating from high school, so we're having a big graduation party. And Logan and I went to order the cookies together, and while we were there, we each got a cookie to try. That came to $4. So we did get gas this week. We skipped gas the week before on week 2. So it actually it was like 2 weeks worth of gas, so it ends up costing $38. We usually budget $15 a week, so it's still a little bit higher, but you know, gas prices fluctuate. It's hard to predict where they're going to be. And then I said I wasn't going to do this, but I did it. I said that I would not spend any more money on teaching products because I only have 3 weeks, at that point, 3 weeks left with students. So, but I did. I couldn't help it. I just wanted to purchase some fun activities to do with my students. It's like end of the year activities. So I made 2 purchases from Teacher Pay Teacher, which is a site where you can purchase activities that other teachers have created, and then you can print them off and use them. So I spent $5 and $16 on that. So that's bills, debt, food, gas, miscellaneous. Let's go to medical. So we had one pharmacy visit this week, and that was $20. Okay, so we didn't have any house expenses, and we didn't have any sinking fund or cash envelope expenses either. So let's go to the budget. Let's see. I want to make sure, yeah, I did. Okay, good. I wanted to make sure I wrote that down to explain it to you. So the graduation expenses. Okay, well, let's start up here with our income. So last week, we ended the week with $902 of rollover, and that was our actual amount. Then this week, I was paid for my teaching job, $3,300. So we transferred $3,396 from our savings account into our main account to pay off that debt. And that was the actual amount that we transferred, so $3,396. We have about $1,000 set aside for for Jacob's graduation party. We spent $207 of that this week, so I deposited that amount from from the savings. So we deposited $207. To cover expenses. Okay, so we had one bill. Wait a second. Did that bill come out? Oh, that bill did not come out. Oh, neither one of those bills came out. Okay, so the city bill did not come out this week like I thought it would. So that was 0. The lawn was 0. I just realized I forgot to total all these. So, Mork's drinking water. So that was a total income of $7,805, and I'm just going to double check my math and make sure I did that right. Yes, it was actually $7,805. Okay, so with the lawn, I've got some questions about this. So David mows our lawn, and he and I made this arrangement years ago because I've always made a lot more money than David, and so he and I have other opportunities in the teaching world to make some extra cash here and there by either teaching an adult class or going through some training that I might be paid for, things like that. So, and budgeting wise, we always let me keep those kind of things. So we made this arrangement years ago that every summer he mows the lawn once a week and we pay him $20 so that he can set that aside and purchase something big for himself. The most recent thing he purchased for himself was a computer, which was awesome because it allowed me to start my new business. So that's what that's for. So it's a bill, but we pay David. We pay him his own money. We give it back to him. Okay, so that was $320 for those two bills, but we actually didn't spend any of those. Depending on what the weather is like, David isn't always able to mow the lawn, and the weather has been very rainy and yucky here lately. So unfortunately, he was not able to mow the lawn last week. Our lawn is very long right now, but it's needed. Where we live, it's very important to the farmers that we get an adequate amount of rain, so it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Okay, so coming down here to our budgeted amount, so $7,805 minus $320. So we budgeted that we would be at $7,485 at this point, but we were still at $7,805 because neither one of those bills came out. Okay, let me add up the miscellaneous expenses. This is just all my normal miscellaneous expenses plus graduation. So we have food, gas, miscellaneous, medical, and house, and then $207 for graduation. So we budgeted $497, and there was quite a huge variation here. Oh wait, no, that was last week where there was a huge variation. Well, let's see how we did this week. I get confused when I do 2 weeks at a time. Okay, so so for food we budgeted $150, we spent $97. For gas we budgeted $15 and we spent $38. For miscellaneous, we budgeted $25 and we spent $21. Medical, we spent, was it 15? Yep, 15. House, we didn't spend anything. And graduation, we spent $207 exactly. The reason why that worked out is because after I spent it, then I transferred the money. So that's why that amount is exactly what we budgeted. So let's see what our actual amount was that we spent. 97 plus 38 plus 21 plus 15 plus 207. 378. And I'm just going to double check my math. Yep, 378. So we budgeted, so we had 7,485 minus 497. So our budget we would have been at 6,988. And over here, we spent 378, so 7805. So we are still at 7,427. Okay, so we didn't have any sinking funds this week, but we did have an extra debt payment, which I need to add. So this pen has been here for a week, so let's see if I can erase it. Nice, it still erases after it's been sitting for like a week. Oh, it's leaving something behind. That's not bad. Whew, nice. Okay, so we made an extra debt payment to loan number 2. So let's see, for budget we're at 6,988. For actual we're at 7,427. So for loan number 2, we weren't planning on spending anything this month, but we did. We paid off $3,396. Okay, so let's see where we are now. 7,427 minus 3,396. We are at 4,031. Okay, is that right? That seems like an awful lot of money. Oh, it's because I was paid for teaching. Okay, I will take it. So at this point, budget-wise, we thought we would have 6,988, but we actually have 4,031. So we're just gonna roll all of that over to next week. Next week is when we do either our debt snowball or our savings goals. So we do that. We usually do that once a month. We're doing it twice a month today because we did this one, and we'll do one more next week, but we'll have to see where we end next week. So our total savings right now is 4,031, bringing our budget to 0. I like to zero out my budget every week. I like to have a place for my money at the end of every week. Okay, so let's go to week 4 and get that all set up. Okay, so we have a rollover of 4,031, and I believe that's our only income this week. Yep, so our total is going to be 4,031, so that's what we have to work with. Let's see the date range on this. So this is going to be May 23rd through May 29th. Okay, for bills, I do my pre-work in Excel. So here's week 4, but before I write down those bills, I need to write this down. City. We need to pay city still. So we budget $300 for that. So this opportunity to mow the lawn is gone. So we don't have to roll that expense over, but we will have a new expense of $20. Fingers crossed, he's able to mow the lawn this week. Okay, so let's see what else we have going on. So this first section is for my bills, which include my bills and my debt. Bills are things that are paid no matter what. Debt is the amount of money that we owe that eventually will get paid off. So let's see, we paid loan number 2, so you don't have to worry about that. I'm just gonna write it down to remind myself I don't have to pay it. I will have to start again in 6 months, so 0. And then for our student loans, another phone call I made this week. I was able to get an income-based repayment plan based on my Etsy income and YouTube income, because that's my new income starting in August. So I was able to give them all the documentation to show how much I'm making. And for 1 year, I got a reduced payment to student loans. So I'm going to watch this closely throughout the year, because I believe my interest still goes up on student loans the same way I still have to pay interest every month the same way I would for that loan. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But in the meantime, I used to pay $270 a month, which is equivalent to three days of subbing for me next year. That's 3 days I won't have to sub every month, which is pretty cool. It gives me more time to focus on the shop. So this month I don't have to pay anything because they deferred it for a month while we worked on all the paperwork. Starting next month, I'll be paying $40 a month to that instead of $270. Okay, so that's those two loans. I'm still paying on the van, and we pay them $445. It's the only debt I still have left to pay on because those two kind of are in furlough right now, and that has 0% interest. So that's pretty cool. Okay, we have to pay energy this week. So let's add that up and see how much that equals. So that's $815 to bills this week. So $4,031 minus $815. That's $3,216 that we have left over. So I'm going to bring that down here, and let's write our variable expenses. Okay, so food we're budgeting $150. Spending we're budgeting $80. This is actually a cash envelope, so that money will be coming out of our bank account in cash. That's $40 for me and $40 for David for a 2-week period. For gas, we're going to budget $15. Miscellaneous, we're budgeting $25. Medical $50, and house $50. So let me add all of that up, see what it equals. $370, and I'm going to double check, make sure my math is correct. Yep, that's $370. So $3,216 minus $370. So we're left with $2,846. I'm going to bring that up here to our cash envelopes, which we are actually going to do later this week. I don't write all the categories down here because I have it all written down over here, and this is actually more lines than I have space available. I also put the money for the spending that we need to take out of the bank because I use this page to calculate how much of each denomination to take out of the bank. I also need to calculate how much I'm going to take out for taxes and take-home pay from my other account for business. So that's where I get all these numbers from. But as far as my sinking funds go, they total $300 altogether. So this is what I do. So I write sinking funds, 300, and I draw an arrow to show that all the information is on the other page. Okay, extra debt. We are not planning on spending and paying off any extra debt. Well, actually, yeah, no, not this time. If we have any extra money left over, we're going to transfer it over to our savings account because that's the other goal we're working on right now. As long as I'm getting my teacher check, we are working on setting money aside in our extra savings account for unexpected expenses that come up through that first 6 to 12 months while I'm transitioning to my new job because it will be less income. So anything left over is going to go towards extra savings. We set aside $1,000 to roll over to start the month and then put the rest in savings. Okay, so $2,846 minus $300 would be $2,546. So coming down here, $2,546. So we will put $1,000 aside to roll over to start the new month, and then $1,546 will be the amount we can put in our savings account that we can just have set aside for things that come up during the year. So total savings is $1,546, which leaves us with 0, which is what we want, how we want to end the month. Okay, so now it's time to head over to the weekly check-in to see where we were for week 3, and then we'll come back to this and we'll set up we already set up the budget for week 4. Never mind. So all we need to do is do our weekly check-in here and then we're done. So I'm going to get all of my numbers from this key here. I'm just going to set that off to the side. I'm going to start by writing down what our budgeted amount was. Okay, so we budgeted $150 for food. We didn't budget anything for spending because we do that every 2 weeks. We budgeted $15 for gas, $25 for unbudgeted or miscellaneous expenses, $50 for medical, $50 for house. Let's see how much we actually spent. We actually spent $97 on food. So $150 minus $97 is a difference of $53. That's a positive difference. Spending was 0, and we actually spent 0, which is a difference of 0. Gas was 15, we spent 38. The reason why it was more is because that was actually for 2 weeks worth instead of 1 week, because we skipped a week. So we're still over budget by $8. So we are negative $8 in that category. For unbudgeted, we budgeted $25, we spent $21, so we are positive $4. Medical, we budgeted $50, we spent $15, so that's a difference of $35 in the positive. For house, we budgeted $50, we didn't spend any, so that brought us to a positive amount of $50. So I'm going to add all of these categories up together, and then we will do our monthly total. Okay, so the way I check my math here is I take our budget amount minus the amount that we spent, and it should equal this amount here. If it doesn't, then I did something wrong in my math. So we have 290 minus 171 equals 119. Oh, my math is wrong. Okay, so let's see. Oh, I see it. Right here. You guys probably saw it long before I did. It was not negative 8, it was negative 23. It was 8 above our budget of 2 weeks, which would have been $30, but it was 38 minus 15, which is negative 23. Okay, so now we should have the correct amount. Let me check again. Yes, 119. It's always funny when I try to figure these things out, because I feel like you guys are always able to figure it out before I can. Like you see it, you're like, oh, that's what you did. Okay, so now let's see where we are for our monthly total. So in food, we ended last week at negative 248, but we're putting a positive amount of 53, so 248 minus 53. So we're now at negative 195. For gas, we were at negative 23, and we had a positive 8 before. Mark is drinking more water. So that's a positive amount of negative amount of 15. For spending, we were at 0. Sorry about that. Okay, for unbudgeted, we were at negative 367, so we are negative 363. So just so you know, this is to see how we're spending our money and seeing if we're staying on track in these categories that can change or have a variable amount. This isn't like the actual negative amount that we have in our account, as you see when we did the budget. This is just how well we are at staying on track, which this month is not so good. Okay, so medical, we have positive 35. Plus we had positive 48, so 35 plus 48. So now we have a positive amount of $83. And house, we were at 0, but now we have a positive amount of 50. So let's see where we are right now for the month as far as how far off we are on our budget. Last week we were $559 off budget, so let's see where we are now. So we are currently off budget by $440. The reason why that number is lower than last week is because this week, we had some categories where we didn't spend money that we had budgeted to spend, so that brought our total difference down to a smaller amount. We have 1 more week to go, so it'll be interesting to see where we are there. And then I did make some notes to myself about when this really bad week. I need to increase my clothing and shoe sinking fund. And then the food budget, I said we overspent on food, on eating out, and extra grocery trips. So we did make up for it this week, but we did have that one really bad week so far this month. Okay, so that is where we are at. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, will you please give it a thumbs up? And I will see you all again next week when we close out the budget and see how much we're able to put towards our savings goal. Bye, everyone.